Hey everyone, it's Scoopman 5000. We're back for another video and another WWE Ultimate Edition review. This time we got Eddie Guerrero, Tiffany Stratton, and Uncle Howdy. This is a brand new wave, hot off the truck from Ringside Collectibles. The last time we looked at Ultimate Edition figures was, of course, the wave with Bray Wyatt, Solo Sikoa, and Finn Balor. That was a very important wave to me because that Bray Wyatt depicted the final match, the pitch black match that I attended. I held what I believe to be crash test dummy that Uncle Howdy, to test Uncle Howdy's bump that I sat right next to when he dived off of that platform onto LA Knight. So that Bray Wyatt figure was very important to me. And it's just as important that we finally, after years, have an Uncle Howdy figure. Is a character that's almost 3 years old. That version of Uncle Howdy, we don't have a figure. It's a different look. This is the more modern Wyatt 6 version, which I'm super stoked to have. But I'm going to try to contain my excitement for Uncle Howdy because we got two other figures to look at. So let's go ahead, flip it around, and we'll take a look at this new wave of Ultimate Edition. We'll kick things off with Latino Heat, Eddie Guerrero. And here's Eddie Guerrero out of the packaging. For the accessories, you can start out with the C grips on the hands. He's also got a pair of fists, a pair of flat open hands, and a pair of gesturing open hands. Comes with the bull rope. I think this came with the Defining Moments Cody, and you can wrap it around the wrist of two figures. Got the beautiful soft goods shirt and no Velcro on this guy. This slips right over the top. We get a grinning expression out of the package, and then a closed mouth, but still smiling, and then laughing expression. So three very joyous head sculpts for Eddie. What's missing here is the Undisputed Championship. He's even depicted with it on the back of the box. If you have the previous Eddie, I guess you could just give it to him, and that's basically what this figure is. It's like a make good on this figure. So this Eddie had a few problems. Skin tone a little dark, maybe for the time. The boots, I think, was a controversy, the wrong color. And then the main thing was this torso. The absolute Adonis they made Eddie Guerrero, and you could see they've gone ahead, updated. Now, with the shirt on, I didn't mind it really on this figure, but this definitely is a more realistic version of Eddie. I mean, that being said, you know, he was on the juice. He was jacked. So maybe this one should be a bit more defined on the new figure, but the size is definitely much closer. And again, along with the updated skin tone, the corrected boots, and then even the kind of frosty tips on the hair, all that's good stuff. I think they did pick a good fit for him. This purple is pretty iconic. Tats are there. Everything looks good. Paint, everything you'd want in an Eddie Guerrero. But again, missing this Undisputed belt. While this is cool and it is like tied to a specific moment, I just don't think it's as displayable as a Undisputed Championship belt would be around his waist or in his hands. And this is Eddie Guerrero's third Ultimate. I don't think I'm missing any. So of course that jacked up one we just looked at, more close to this time period. And then the WCW, the Cruiserweight Champion, Eddie Guerrero. And he has the same body, and I guess if we're really going to nitpick, you know, 97 Eddie Guerrero did not have the body that 05 Eddie Guerrero did. But I guess if the choice was between these two, this is definitely closer. And he does sit right in between the Ultimate Brock Lesnar and the Ultimate Rey Mysterio. That's about where he should be. And then here he is with his boy Dominik. This is him about the age when Eddie left, and this is Dominik now, carrying on his father's legacy. And it's about that time, and I'm of course talking about Tiffy time. And here she is. Tiffy is out of the package, and what we got to do right away is get rid of this head sculpt. Absolutely atrocious. Luckily, the alternate that comes with the figure is an improvement. It's not perfect, but that's a lot better. But anyway, other than those heads, she does come with a few sets of hands. So C grips on the figure. You got two pointers, and then two sort of gesturing open hands. And then she does get her custom Money in the Bank briefcase with the purse strap. She can wear it like a pocketbook or hold it up like the briefcase. Would have been nice to get the belt, the Women's Championship, because I don't think we have many copies of it. Yeah, this head sculpt is much better. Again, not perfect. I don't know what the problem is, but something is a little off. And then down into the attire, the torso. Well, first of all, this might be the bustiest Mattel figure that has ever been made. Let me know if there's any other women that have had the presence that this Tiffy does. I mean, good Lord. I mean, she definitely is, you know, pushing them up on the show, and they've done a great job capturing that detail. And speaking of which, you know, unbelievable stuff you would have never seen on a women's figure. Even before we get to the top, like the neck part, collar, and that sort of ornate jewelry on it. All that's sculpted and painted And then we get past her massive bust into this top. And this might be one of the most detailed things I've seen on a Mattel. Look at all the little sculpted dots, all of the tiny sculpted dots all over this, and then painted. We got some silver even on this detail hanging off the bottom. Every little gem and rhinestone sculpt absolutely to perfection. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, that Oscar was pretty close. For whatever reason, they went all out on Tiffy. Unbelievable presentation here. And even that part, like on the lower torso, is sculpted in. So like the reuse potential here, not very high. I'm thinking maybe this has to be a greatest hits and they recolor it, but I don't know if Tiffy does recolor her gear or if this is a totally one and done design. The arms are smooth, but you could almost never tell because, again, the amount of detail, all these little dots painted. If you know anything about like figure production, like each one of those is like, you know, a couple pennies or something, and then you make, you know, 10,000 of these guys. It's pretty impressive stuff. A nice touch is the little piercing and down into the trunks. This is all raised detail on the back as well. So a lot of unique sculpt here for Tiffy. She's got that squarer, more muscular build that she should. The legs especially, these yams, these quads, down into the knee pads and the boots, more standard looking pieces, but really this whole midsection here is unbelievable. Some of the best sculpted and painted detail, more importantly, that I've ever seen on a Mattel. So bravo, Sweaty Bill, you done a good job. And here's Tiffy with some of her ultimate contemporaries. We got this pretty new Bayley, and then this Alexa Bliss that's been out for a long time. Scale looks good here. And then here she is with the Elite Jade Cargill and the Elite SummerSlam Charlotte Flair. Probably her two biggest rivals so far, I guess, other than Nia Jax. Wait, hold on. Boom! Nia Jax. How could we forget the feud that will never end? This is not even the new one. This is an older Nia Jax figure. But you gotta have Tiffy. Wherever she goes, Nia Jax will follow. How about the recent Elite Rhea Ripley? It's always a fun pairing. And how about an old school AJ Lee for flavor? There we go. Finally, let's get to the main event. Uncle Howdy. And finally, here we are after years of build-up and anticipation, at least for me. Uncle Howdy, the man I saw dive onto LA Knight in the 23 Royal Rumble, and a character I've wanted a figure of ever since I saw him nearly 3 years ago, and a huge member and a continuation of the Bray Wyatt family and lore. He does have 3 head sculpts. The one on the figure by default is my favorite, this sort of gritted teeth expression. One's sort of a talking expression. He's sort of got an open mouth, and then one is more maybe shouting when he's delivering a prophetic message. He's got 2 sets of hands, so some grips, and then a set of wide open hands to do the famous arms out pose. You'll notice he does wear one half of the Fiend's gloves. This one actually says Bray across the fingers rather than Hurt. And then this is a true Ultimate, what Ultimates were sold on, because you can make this a 2-in-1. We have the in-ring look right here. Go ahead, swap out the arms and add this overlay. And he's got his entrance jacket. You can throw on the top hat with some nice details on there. And then give him that black oil lantern so he can light the way. Only thing missing here is a chair. If you have one of the old Mattel Bray Wyatt chairs. But I would have loved to seen that here. But otherwise, pretty perfect, man. Again, I want that original look. It was a different look, different mask. He had a shorter kind of wig. Everything was different. We never even saw that version in the ring. But I'm fine with this too. And I love the mask here. I mean, up at the face here, a really great likeness, even in the eyes, right? Like he's wearing contacts, I believe. But you could still tell in there is Bo Dallas, there's Uncle Howdy, and the beard is nice. You know, Mattel always does a good job sort of blending these different browns and then even into a bit of the gray. I think he adds a little bit of paint in that beard when he becomes Uncle Howdy, and all that is conveyed pretty well. Even right on the mask, these 2 little silver rivets. I don't know if they didn't put those there that anyone would have noticed, but it's certainly a great detail that they did. Pairing the head sculpts, this one came default. I think something about it just looks better, but all 3 are fantastic, and I'm glad we got that many. You know, we're able to take different poses, different figure photography. He's got that almost white hair, but see, this has a bit of a wash to it. And then the mask, I love the color. You know, it's that almost gray color, because he's had a few different masks, and they've almost ranged from like a greenish, dark gray. Sometimes it didn't look good. But this version I like a lot. I think he's sort of gone back to a color similar to this. You know, you don't see the Wyatt 6 all that often, and especially Uncle Howdy. You know, the main guys wrestling right now is Gacy and Loomis. But Uncle Howdy is, you know, of course, at the center of it all. One thing I'll say about the body choice, like the shoulders, look at those absolute boulders on him. Absolutely looking jacked and intimidating. I'm fine with that for an action figure, but I would say it should almost be like more like this Eddie, right? Like, look at that. Oh, definitely all new sculpt in the middle here, sort of the button-down shirt. And then some interesting leg wear here. It's like these sort of plaid pants to like almost tall boots or chaps. And then some stock wrestling boots on the bottom. And then the other thing worth noting is, of course, this tribute like gauntlet with the Fiend's stripes and, of course, the Fiend's glove. Do want to see him in action with the jacket, so let's go ahead, add the overlay. And that is fucking incredible. Awesome job. You know, there was sort of an uncertain period. We didn't know what was going to happen with this character, Uncle Howdy. Was it going to kind of live in this nebulous what-if scenario? Then the Wyatt 6 debut, this awesome debut that they're literally making a haunted house for. You know, lights the world on fire, but then not a lot happens. They go away for months and months and months. And it's like Bray Wyatt all over again, man. Where did he go? No updates. But luckily, he bounced back. And, you know, the Wyatts are now back on TV. They're getting involved in AAA. All that stuff. And to me, what cements it is having the action figure. To me, that preserves the character forever, right? And to add him to the ranks of the other Bray Wyatt figures is very special, very important. We'll start him out with a Roman and a Seth Rollins. And here he is with the Loomis figure. This is the only other Wyatt 6 we got so far. I think Joe Gacy is out now, like literally within the past couple of weeks. Don't have him yet, so let's throw in an old school Erick Rowan. And of course, we're going to get the updated Erick Rowan in the 3-pack along with Nikki Cross. And that will complete the Wyatt 6 in Mattel. So excited for that. I'll probably review that 3-pack if I get it in a timely manner. And how about another gray masked man and a big fan of Uncle Howdy? My own original creation, Scoopman 5000. Finally, this is what it's all about. Here's the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. And then here's the final appearance, the pitch black Bray Wyatt. Now, both of these figures may be undersized. I don't know. Is Bo Dallas taller than Bray? I feel like that's not true. And I think, you know, certain Bray Wyatt figures, the elites, I think tend to be a little taller. Fiends aren't. The Fiends are all the same size. But I think if you get an elite Bray Wyatt, like that recent... Hold on. This is the recent elite kind of flashback Bray, and he's definitely a lot taller. And I feel like this is probably too tall, too thin, but maybe the heights match up a little better. Let me know, guys. That's going to do it for this wave of Ultimate Edition. I think this is great. I think there's a little something here for everybody. You got a current woman, current male, and we got a flashback, a Legends figure in Eddie Guerrero. The Tiffy blew me away with the sculpting and the paint. Some of the best ever. No exaggeration. And especially to me, just the added weight and importance and just attachment that I have, like to the Uncle Howdy, to the Bray Wyatt universe. So glad to finally have this essential character to that world, to that mythology, add him to collection along with his brother and the other twisted characters in the Wyatts. And again, super stoked about that 3-pack. And then I have to get Joe Gacy. And we'll have a nice Wyatt 6 in Mattel, regardless of if they never get booked again. They'll be immortalized in figure form. That's what it's all about. So as always, I'll leave it off with any figure photography. You can check out my whole library of that over on Instagram, Scoopman_5000. I'll see you guys in the next video.